Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. In recent days, tension in the Middle East has reached a dangerous new level. Reports and intelligence leaks have begun to suggest that Iran could move beyond indirect support and join Hamas in an open confrontation against Israel. The question is simple but terrifying. Is Tehran really preparing to enter the war directly? And are the lethal Emad and Qadr missiles truly ready to rain fire on Israel? Let's break this down carefully, step by step, and understand the bigger picture behind these alarming developments. Iran has long been one of Hamas's most important backers, providing weapons, funding, and training for years. This relationship has been built on shared political goals and a common opposition to Israel. But until now, Iran has mostly operated behind the scenes, allowing Hamas and Hezbollah to fight on the front lines while maintaining plausible deniability. What's happening now feels different. Iranian state media and military sources have started highlighting their advanced missile systems and talking openly about their readiness to respond to what they call Israeli aggression. The Emad and Qadr missiles are not just symbolic weapons. They represent years of Iranian effort to build a long-range strike capability that could threaten Israel directly from Iranian soil. The Emad missile is an upgraded version of the Shahab 3, capable of reaching targets around 700 kilometers away, well within range of Israel. It's designed to be more accurate and can carry a large warhead. The Qadr missile, also a medium-range ballistic missile, is even more versatile, with several versions capable of hitting targets across the Middle East. Together, they form a critical part of Iran's strategic deterrent arsenal. The recent military parades in Tehran displayed these missiles in full view, with banners describing them as the sword of resistance. Analysts believe these displays are not just for domestic audiences. They're a clear signal to Israel and its allies. The message is simple. If Israel continues its strikes in Gaza or targets Iranian interests, Tehran is ready to unleash its missile forces in response. But the question remains, is this a real warning or just psychological warfare? Iran's military strategy has always been shaped by two key principles: deterrence and deniability. By showing off its missile power, Iran reminds its enemies that it has the ability to strike back hard if provoked. But by using proxies like Hamas, Hezbollah, and other armed groups across the region, it avoids taking direct blame. This hybrid strategy allows Iran to influence conflicts without facing full-scale retaliation. However, the recent escalation has blurred these lines. With Israeli forces hitting targets close to Iranian assets in Syria, and with growing anger in Tehran over civilian casualties in Gaza, the pressure inside Iran is mounting to take a stronger stance. Iran's leadership faces both internal and external challenges. Inside the country, hardliners within the Revolutionary Guard are demanding a tougher response, arguing that Iran must prove its power and defend the axis of resistance. At the same time, more pragmatic factions warn that a direct confrontation with Israel could invite massive retaliation and possibly draw in the United States. The supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, sits at the center of this debate. His public statements have been sharp, condemning Israel and warning of consequences, but so far, he has stopped short of announcing direct military involvement. Still, military preparations tell a more concerning story. Satellite imagery and regional reports indicate increased activity at Iranian missile bases. The Revolutionary Guard has been testing new launch systems and conducting drills simulating long-range strikes. Some analysts believe this could be a show of strength aimed at deterring Israel. Others fear it could be preparation for a limited missile strike, a warning shot to demonstrate Iran's capability without crossing into full-scale war. If Iran were to launch missiles toward Israel, the consequences would be immediate and severe. Israel's Iron Dome and Arrow defense systems are advanced, but they are not foolproof. A massive barrage of Emad or Qadr missiles, even if partially intercepted, could cause significant destruction and casualties. Civilian areas, military bases, and key infrastructure could all be targeted. The psychological impact alone would be enormous, potentially pushing Israel to retaliate directly against Iranian territory. Such a move could also ignite the entire region. Hezbollah in Lebanon, militias in Iraq and Houthi forces in Yemen could all join the fight, turning the conflict into a multi-front war. American forces stationed in the Gulf would almost certainly be drawn in, either to defend Israel or to protect their own bases. The ripple effects would reach far beyond the battlefield. Energy markets would be thrown into chaos, oil prices would surge, and global shipping through the Strait of Hormuz could be disrupted. For now, Tehran seems to prefer playing the long game. Its officials continue to emphasize resistance and deterrence rather than outright confrontation. But Iran's actions, from its missile tests to its fiery speeches, keep the world on edge. Every move feels like a step closer to the point of no return. One key factor is how Iran interprets Israel's actions in Gaza. If Israeli operations continue to intensify and civilian deaths mount, Iran could see direct intervention as both a moral duty and a strategic necessity. The Revolutionary Guard could argue that inaction would damage Iran's credibility as the leader of the resistance movement. On the other hand, if Iran intervenes too directly and suffers devastating retaliation, it risks destabilizing its own regime. This balancing act is what makes the situation so volatile. Iran wants to project strength but avoid a war it cannot control. Israel wants to deter Iran without provoking a direct missile strike. Both sides are testing limits, and every day of fighting in Gaza increases the chance of miscalculation. Let's talk more about these missiles because they are at the heart of the current fear. The Emad is a precision-guided medium-range ballistic missile. It was first tested in 2015 and has since been improved with advanced guidance systems. Unlike older Iranian missiles that were known for poor accuracy, the Emad is believed to have a much smaller circular error probable, meaning it can strike within a few dozen meters of its intended target. That makes it not just a weapon of terror, but a potential tool for strategic precision strikes. The Qadr missile, on the other hand, comes in several variants. The Qadr F and Qadr H models can travel roughly 1,600 kilometers. The Qadr 110 version is said to be faster and easier to deploy, allowing for quicker launches. Iranian sources claim these missiles are road-mobile, meaning they can be hidden and moved quickly, making preemptive strikes against them much harder. That mobility gives Iran flexibility and survivability, crucial advantages in any missile-based strategy. It's also worth noting that these weapons are part of Iran's deterrence chain. Tehran believes that by maintaining the capability to strike Israel, it prevents larger powers from attacking Iran directly. In this sense, The Emad and Qadr missiles are as much about defense as they are about offense. But deterrence is a dangerous game when both sides are under intense pressure. A single misstep, a misread radar signal, a mistaken missile launch, or an unverified intelligence report could trigger a spiral no one can control. Israel, for its part, has been preparing for this possibility for years. Its missile defense systems are layered, combining short-range Iron Dome interceptors, mid-range David Sling, and long-range Arrow systems. These defenses are effective but expensive, and they can be overwhelmed by sheer numbers. If Iran were to coordinate a strike with Hezbollah and Hamas, the number of incoming projectiles could exceed Israel's capacity to intercept them all. That's exactly the scenario Israeli generals fear most. Meanwhile, the United States has moved assets closer to the region, including aircraft carriers and missile defense systems. Officially, these are deterrence measures, signals that Washington is ready to protect its allies and prevent Iran from escalating further. But from Tehran's perspective, this buildup looks like preparation for war. That perception feeds back into Iran's own threat calculations and makes the situation even more combustible. It's important to understand that in modern conflicts, wars don't always start with declarations. They often begin with one strike too many, one warning ignored, or one miscommunication. The Middle East is a region already soaked in history and hostility. All it takes is a single spark to ignite a fire that burns across borders. At the heart of this conflict are ordinary people, families in Gaza, in Israel, in Lebanon, and in Iran, who have no control over the missiles, the politics, or the propaganda. They are the ones who will pay the price if these weapons are ever launched. That's what makes this entire situation so tragic. Every side speaks of defense, of resistance, of justice, but when missiles fly, it's the innocent who suffer. So what's next? In the short term, Iran will likely continue to posture moving missiles, issuing warnings and supporting Hamas and Hezbollah without openly joining the war. But if Israeli strikes cross a certain line, for example, hitting Iranian advisors or infrastructure directly, Tehran could respond militarily. Whether that response would come from Iranian soil or through allied militias is uncertain, but the danger would immediately skyrocket. Diplomatic efforts are still underway behind closed doors. Several countries, including Qatar, Oman, and Turkey, have reportedly urged Iran to show restraint. Even Russia and China, though aligned with Tehran in many global issues, have no interest in seeing a major regional war that could destabilize oil markets or invite Western intervention. So far, Iran has listened, but its patience is not unlimited. Economically, Iran also has reasons to avoid open war. The country is already struggling under sanctions, and a direct conflict with Israel and the United States could lead to even tighter restrictions or airstrikes on vital infrastructure. Yet for some in the Iranian leadership, the appeal of standing up to Israel outweighs those risks. That mindset, shaped by ideology and pride, is what makes this crisis so unpredictable. It's also worth noting that the information war is intense. Every day, state-run outlets in both Iran and Israel release statements meant to control the narrative. Each side claims the other is close to collapse, exaggerating victories and hiding losses. Social media amplifies these stories, making it even harder for the public to know what's true. That confusion benefits both sides in different ways, but it also increases fear and uncertainty across the region. For now, the world watches. Every new missile test, every speech by an Iranian commander, every Israeli airstrike in Syria could be the trigger that shifts this standoff into open warfare. The Middle East has seen countless conflicts, but a direct Iran-Israel war would be unlike anything before, a clash between two highly capable militaries with advanced technology and deeply rooted ideological motives. If that war were to begin, it would not stay contained. Energy routes, regional economies, and even global alliances could be shaken. The humanitarian toll would be devastating, and yet, both sides continue to prepare for it as if it's inevitable. In the end, the real battle may not be about missiles or borders, but about perception and power. Iran wants to show the world that it stands at the center of the resistance movement, the defender of Palestine and the challenger to Western dominance. Israel wants to show that it will never be threatened again, no matter who stands against it. These competing visions are pushing both nations toward confrontation, even if neither truly wants to cross that line. The Emad and Qadr missiles are symbols of this dangerous tension, technological proof of Iran's reach and determination. Whether they remain tools of deterrence or become weapons of destruction depends on the next few decisions made in Tehran and Jerusalem. History will remember those choices. For now, what we can say is this: the Middle East stands at a crossroads. Diplomacy still has a chance to pull the region back from the edge, but the window is closing fast. The world hopes that these lethal missiles remain on their launchers, silent reminders of the cost of war rather than instruments of it. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay alert, and let's hope reason wins before rockets do. You said,